Alrighty, well, it is 12 o'clock noon Central Time, so we will go ahead and get started. I would just like to welcome everybody to today's session. Today is what we like to call a micro learning because it's only going to last for about 20-25 minutes, but it is going to pack a powerful punch. And today's session is specifically designed for business owners and their managers and their leaders, and it is called Best Retention Strategies, and it is part of our larger Transforming Workplace Culture series. And this micro learning session is brought to you today by Business Clarity by Design in Spencer, Wisconsin. Just a little bit about our company. Business Clarity by Design specializes in organization development, including succession planning for business owners and leaders. Our mission is to help owners and leaders maximize the value of their business through strategic, results-driven interventions. As certified financial and exit planning professionals, we elevate business development by aligning it to your financial growth, employee engagement and education, HR interventions, and a clear path towards that next chapter after you transition out of your business. And just a little bit about me, real quick. I am your speaker for today. My name is Daisy Linville. I'm the Director of Learning and Development at Business Clarity by Design. I hold a master's degree in educational administration. I've worked in public education and healthcare administration and a branch of human resources called organization development. And for all of those industries, I've worked a total of more than 14 years. I'm really passionate about lifelong learning and how soft skills are actually really a person's power skills, which can kind of give you the cutting edge in the workplace. I live in Marshfield, Wisconsin with my two teenage sons. And just a fun fact about me, my sons and I, we've actually lived in a trailer in the woods on an island in Lake Superior for the last 10 summers. We didn't live there in the summer 2025, but that's okay. We got 10 summers on the island. So just an interesting fact about us. So, as I had stated earlier, this is part of our larger group of classes called our Transforming Workplace Culture series. And today we are already in month number 2, Best Retention Strategies. And thanks to everyone who was able to join us last month. We talked about a really valuable communication class called What Leaders Say Matters. And we do these once a month on the third Wednesday of the month at the noon lunch hour, Central Time Zone. And next month, we have coaching conversations is our exciting topic. And then in the month of November, we will cover policies that protect all. But for today, today's topic is best retention strategies. And here are our learning objectives for today. As leaders, we will identify the key drivers of turnover and how to prevent them. We will identify the key drivers of loyalty and retention of top talent. And then today we are going to become equipped to implement many retention tactics that you can go ahead and try this week. All right, but first I would like to kick it off with a quote today for just some level setting, and it really helps to shed some light on the importance of this topic of retention. And the quote is, retention is no longer just an HR issue. It is a business imperative directly tied to profitability, stability, and competitive advantage. And that's a quote by the CEO of the Work Institute in Tennessee. Really interesting institution that does work and research about workplace culture around the United States. So, and I have to agree with Danny Nelms, the CEO. This isn't just an HR issue anymore. It is about getting everyone on that same page, especially managers and leaders, when it comes to the topic of retention, just to make sure that we are doing everything we can day in and day out to have these retention efforts sort of built into the fabric of how we operate as a company. And I'd like to also kick it off with an icebreaker question. So get ready to type into the chat. The question is, what is one factor that would make you stay longer in a job beyond salary? So salary is a whole other different topic. Salary is actually like one of the fifth or the sixth drivers of retention. It's actually not even in the top 4 drivers of retention. So what is one factor that would make you stay in your job longer that has nothing to do with salary? So go ahead and type your comments into the chat. I'd love to see what you all have to say. We have a nice comment here, a work-life balance. Yeah, that's a really important one. A great culture and an environment, absolutely. Yeah, we spend like a third of our life at work, so it better be a good culture, right? Because that's a lot of time to be living in a toxic culture or something that you don't enjoy. Chances for advancement? Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. You can keep typing into the chat if you hadn't done that yet. We'll move on though. All right, but first, the reason why retention is so important is because of that nasty little word called turnover. And there are some alarming facts about turnover. And one study said that high employee turnover costs between 33% up to 200% of an employee's annual salary just to find and train their replacement. United States companies are losing around $1 trillion a year on costs associated with preventable turnover. 51% of employees say they are actively looking for new jobs, and that's the highest since the year 2015. 42% of turnover is actually thought to be preventable, and only 18% of workers report being extremely satisfied with their jobs, and that is apparently on the decline. Okay, so now that begs the question, well, what is driving these alarming statistics? And here are some of those top drivers of turnover, excuse me, the top drivers of turnover in no particular order. Number one, some of that research is showing that it was just a bad fit from the get-go. Now, this could be due to a number of factors. Either the employer hadn't been adequately prepared to train or onboard for that role, or on the flip side, maybe that candidate was disingenuous with their intentions or the fact that they could even do the job in the first place. But what research is showing is that more likely, the role itself was not properly aligned to company objectives, and the work that they were doing wasn't moving the needle fast enough in the organization, and it was just a bad fit overall, and things didn't work out to what anyone expected. Number two, it's due to a low trust environment. Employees' feelings of safety in the organization are heavily tied to their desire to stay or their desire to go. Do they feel safe on a daily basis? Do they have good managers and leaders who create that trusting collegial environment for them? Some people, some employers on the job say things like, well, gosh, I don't even know how my employer really feels about me. If I speak up, are they even going to listen to me in the first place? I rarely hear what of a good job I'm doing, and I don't know if I trust my bosses and my leaders, and I don't even know if they care about me. So those are just some of the comments that people make, and that turnover can be due to that low trust environment. Okay, number three, limited pathways for growth. Multiple studies are saying that a lack of professional development and a lack of growth opportunities are driving turnover. And up to 63% of people who leave their jobs, they say that they leave their jobs, they quit due to a lack of advancement opportunities. Number four, blames ineffective leadership and management practices as a top driver of turnover. It's often said that employees don't leave companies, that they leave bad managers. I'm sure we might have heard that one before. Disengaged or ineffective leadership is often an overlooked factor influencing why employees are leaving their workplace. And a recent unemployment survey noted that 30% of job seekers say they would have remained in their previous jobs if they had more positive interactions with their managers. Okay, so that brings us to the best retention strategies to kind of reverse those causes of turnover. And these points here actually do directly correlate to those key drivers of turnover. We're just flipping them to the positive, and the research is showing that when you flip those drivers of turnover to the positive, that's your retention strategies right there. So, number one, you're going to want to hire that right person in the first place. Number two, build that high trust relationship and culture where people want to stay. Number three, offer many employee career development and growth track opportunities. And number four, train your managers and your mid-levels at the executive level. And I'm so excited to dive into some tips and tricks for each one of these four retention strategies. So here we go. Number one, hiring that right person in the first place. Now, you're going to want to plan your hiring around your company's strategy, and you're going to want to ask yourself questions. Yourself as the business owner or the leader in a company, ask yourself these questions. Will this role that I'm hiring for, will it help me to execute my company's strategic imperatives? Is it actually going to move the needle in our company? Next one, do I have confidence that this person in the interview can they execute and deliver? Number three, does this person have their own need to stick in this role long term? And I'll be explaining more about that one in just a moment. And the next one, does this person's own needs align with the needs of this role? Okay, number two, you're going to want to ask questions in the interview that solicit a deeper revelation of personal information. Ask them questions like, well, tell me why you want to work here, or tell me something that you're proud of in your life. What gives you energy, or what drains your energy? These questions can give you clues about their own personal needs to stay in the area. For example, maybe their mother is in a local nursing home, or maybe their teenage children are heavily involved at sports at the middle school and high school level. So you know that they have their own personal need to stick around for a while. That automatically is like a green flag that you know that they'll be in that role long term. Number three, selfish sounding responses in an interview actually might indicate compatibility. Well, what do I mean by that? Okay, take for example, you ask a question in an interview like, oh, so tell me why you want to work here. And they say some canned, polished answer like, I really admire the work that your company does, and I just really want to help your clients. Okay, of course, that sounds natural and it sounds expected and a good answer, but it might not be a authentic answer. So we're trying to tune our ear to those authentic sounding responses, even if they sound selfish. Maybe something like, well, I noticed that your company seems to be the top in digital marketing in the area. And I feel that digital marketing is probably one of my passions because I have this really creative side of my brain and I need to be in a creative mode every day to produce. And I just love the creativity. And I really want to learn the ropes from your company. Okay, that sounds a bit selfish on the part of the candidate, but the fact that that role is fulfilling their own need, that's actually can be a good thing. So something to be on the lookout for there. And then number four, remember to hire for cultural fit also. Of course, we're hiring on experience and education, but when there's a good cultural fit, they're likely to feel more connected and more satisfied and engaged in their work. All right, number two, top retention strategy, building that high trust relationship and the culture where people want to stay. Number one, just remember trust is foundational. As a leader, you have to operate from integrity, transparency, follow through. Do what you say you're going to do. Don't be dropping the ball with your words, not lining up with your actions. Have each other's backs at all times. Stick up for each other. Even if your direct report makes a mistake, you're going to build more loyalty and trust if you stand by their side, you have their back, you don't throw them under the bus, that sort of thing. And then just maintain that team mentality. We're all in this together. I can think of a time at a previous employer where I made a very, very bad mistake, and it could have affected multiple people and departments and even a region of people. And instead of throwing me under the bus, my boss had my back and he blamed it on himself and not me. And I can't tell you what that did for my trust for him and even the organization. So just something to think about there. Have your team members' backs if they make mistakes. Number two, leader-employee relationship quality. Believe the best in your people. Use positive intent with them. Provide clear role expectations. That's a big one. People want to know what's expected of them. Be supportive of them versus authoritarian, and then coming from that coaching mindset instead of always trying to control people. Actively model trust, recognize people's individual contributions. People love to be recognized. Show a genuine interest in your direct reports' lives. Now, I asterisked this third one here, maintain regular one-on-one check-ins. I actually have a handout for you later on in the session today, a digital handout that gives you some questions to ask during your regular one-on-one check-ins. And this last part here, part four, I love this part, reduce micromanagement. You're going to want to empower people, give them autonomy that helps them feel connected to their work and an ownership over their work. Delegate. Now, this one here, that's asterisk. Delegate ownership of high responsibility projects to each employee, well, at least employees who are trustworthy. Because when you can delegate a really high level project or something that entails a lot of responsibility to an employee that you trust, it builds even more trust inside of them and more loyalty inside of them because they feel trusted, like, oh my goodness, they're trusting me with this large project. It can actually do a lot for morale and building that environment. Empower people to find their voice. And then this last one, making sure people's voices are heard, valued, and take their advice from time to time. I found this piece of research from a researcher named Dr. Matthew Champagne. I've sat in some of his webinars. He says that one of the top things he has found to really boost employee engagement is to when you pass out a survey to your staff members, make sure you follow up with the staff on the results of the survey. You follow up with individual contributors' comments and you say, oh, we are going to take your comment into consideration. And then you actually show the stats and the impact of how their advice helped change something in the company. So, something to think about there. You can Google him, Dr. Matthew Champagne. Okay, our top number three driver of retention is to provide those career development and growth opportunities. You know, employees, they want to know that their hard work will lead to career advancement. They want to develop new skills. They want to take on fresh challenges. They want to see a future within their current organization. Nobody likes to job hop and be constantly putting in applications and trying to get new jobs. People really want to stay put. They want to see a longevity in the company that they're currently with so that they know that when they see that structured approach to career development and growth track opportunities, it helps them to stay in the company much longer. So, just some tips here. Number one, offer frequent staff and leader development courses each year as a standard business practices. Some companies even offer them monthly through something called lunch and learns. Maybe you'll once a month meet with your staff and have lunch together in the office or in a conference room. And then maybe the hour after the lunch, you kind of pause operations for an hour and you go into a learning session, maybe a communication class or a customer service class. Number two, have a predictable growth and promotion track with no surprises and no lies. Keep your word to people. Show them what it looks like if they stick around long term. Show them what it looks like if they're working hard and achieving new things and the bumping up process in your company. Communicate it clearly and often. Number three, have a predictable lane change schedule on how to receive merit-based increases tied to performance. This could be tied to their annual performance review. Number four, build in time and reimbursements for staff to receive higher education or earning extra certificates. Make it part of your standard benefits package. Have regular touch base meetings with people about their educational goals and talk about the timelines to keep them motivated and excited. And then I actually really love this one. Never underestimate the power of even a small bump and a title change after a period of high performance. So let's say you have a customer service representative who's just really good and they show up to work on time and they help people and they're kind and friendly. You know, after about a year, you could maybe consider bump them up to customer service representative senior or something of that effect up. Even though even title changes, it's not any monetary compensation. It's just a title change helps people to stay engaged and excited and looking forward to the future in the company. Okay, and just a tip here, remember, upward internal mobility equals that retention, but also in the process, you're even boosting them to have higher performance because they want to have that growth track. So they're performing even better. So good advice there. Okay, and then finally, number four, training managers as executives. I loved this research when I found it, looking at some stats for this session today. Seeing as how a poor relationship quality with a manager can be a top factor influencing that turnover, it makes perfect sense that you'd want all of your managers and your mid-levels to function like a well-oiled executive team, especially when it comes to their communication and their coaching and their people skills. So this research that I found says that when you train your managers and your mid-levels as executives or even executive coaches, you're automatically taking care of a whole host of fires. You're like killing 12 birds with one stone. And here's why. Number one, it's a retention win-win for all. These are your boots on the ground people, managers that are with your individual contributors day in and day out. They're highly trained. They keep that most important retention work at the front and center. It boosts that leader and employee relationship quality, what we talked about earlier. It's like an automatic built-in mechanism for creating a high trust culture. Remembering that trust leads to loyalty. As the relationships get stronger, the employees naturally become more loyal, even through tough times. There's so much research around when a company hits tough times, they're falling on tough financials, or there's a lack in work and people are laid off, or something of that effect. People are willing to stick through the tough times and stay loyal to the company if they have those strong relationships in place. And I love this one as well because when you train managers as executives, it's like you have an automatic built-in succession planning right there. Okay. It keeps the momentum going. You'll have a core group of leaders who are committed and loyal to the organization for the long haul. They automatically want to retain a like-minded workforce right alongside of them. All right. And just a little thing outside of the top four retention strategies. I want to talk for a minute about gratitude. Many of you may remember the final scene in the movie The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. I think it's the third movie. And a character named Aragorn, who is a newly crowned king, he walks through the coronation crowd when the four hobbits begin to bow to him. But the king stops them and says, "You bow to no one." And in that moment, he honors those tiny hobbits who saved Middle Earth, and Aragorn recognized them because he knows he could never have gotten to the level he was, the level of king, without the help of the four little hobbits. So, just a powerful reminder here to never underestimate the power of thanking your team for all they do. And when people feel truly appreciated, that creates engagement and loyalty. Okay, and I want to throw everyone a little curveball here. I want to go ahead and see if you anybody can guess the answer to this question. So go ahead and put your answer into the chat. What do you think is one more overlooked reason why people choose to stay in a job? Try to think what we didn't cover today. We didn't talk about it. What is an overlooked reason why people choose to stay in a job? I'm going to give you a little hint with a picture. Here's your picture. All right, I'm going to read the chat here. Rebecca says, if you feel appreciated. Okay, that's a good guess. Julie says friendships, benefits. Well, I will reveal the answer to you here. The answer is having a best friend at work. It's there. It is one of the things people report on surveys is what makes them stay in a job longer if they have a best friend at work. And I love this little cute cartoon that I saw. Happiness is having a coworker who becomes a best friend. Aw, I love that. It's so true. We spend a third of our lives at work. So how much better would it be if we had a best friend there to join us for that journey? Okay, so I promised everyone some quick and easy things to try to boost retention this week in your companies. So here is your 7-day attempt to retain challenge. So number one says schedule a stay interview with your direct reports. It's like a short retention conversation. Schedule it with each direct report where you ask questions like, what is a great idea that you have that we wish we would implement and that we would follow through with it? I have a whole list of questions in a digital download you can have today. All you have to do is click on the link in the chat. My moderator, Julie, is going to pop that into the chat for everybody, and you can download that off of our website with all the questions you can ask to instantly boost engagement through stay interviews. Number two, go ahead and set up a calendar for the next year, for the next 12 months. Do some strategic planning, okay? Look at the calendar and then schedule a one-on-one touch base meeting with each direct report once a month, not only for the purposes of retention, but also this is best practice for performance management programming. And that is actually a service our company offers through Business Clarity by Design. We can help you get a performance management program set up and running in your organization. I love this one here. Break out some good news. Maybe you announce a pilot of a new flexible work policy, or maybe you add an additional day of PTO into people's banks for their birthdays. Maybe you give them an extra day to go out and volunteer in the community, or maybe even like a stipend towards a gym membership or a cell phone, something that's a small financial impact for you, but it's a big emotional impact for your employees. And then this last one, hand off a high responsibility task to a trustworthy individual contributor to help foster loyalty and trust with them. Okay, so we're going to take a poll. Not sure if anyone has ever heard of Mentimeter polls. When we compiled the information for this session today. We actually did a meta-analysis of about 25 different pieces of research and literature to sort of look at, okay, what are the actual best retention strategies? And we covered pretty much the top four today. But I wanted to know, what do you think is the most prevalent one or the most popular one, the one that is popping up in the research as, okay, this is the number one best retention strategy. So, what do you think is the research number one proven way to retain quality employees for the long haul? And I'm not quite sure why it's not advancing to the poll. Give me 1 second. Oh, here we go. Okay, so here we are in the Mentimeter. And this QR code is a little goofy. I have to move it around. But the question says, what is the number one most effective way to retain top talent? So if you use your phone to go to that QR code there to log you in automatically, or if you're on your computer, you can just open up a web browser real quick and type in menti.com and use code 69811060. Okay, it looks like we have some votes coming in. Building a high trust culture, and somebody voted career development and advancement opportunities. Okay, two for career development. Okay, I know we have 7 people on the call. I'm not sure if everyone's able to get in. More for high trust culture. Oh, the other one was hire the right fit person in the first place. Sorry, that QR code was blocking. Okay. Well, we're ticking down on time here, so I'm just going to reveal the most prevalent one that kept popping up was actually career development and advancement opportunities. So something to think about there. High impact thing you can do for your people. Okay, and just to let you know, that link that Julie dropped in the chat is going to take you to this document here. If you do have a discussion with a direct report about pay, although it's not a top driver of turnover, you certainly can have a conversation with them about pay related turnover. And here are some tips and tricks for you to help you do that. And then here is that other resource I promised you, questions for one-on-one stay interviews, questions to ask for instant engagement. So some really good questions that I dug up online through some research that I did have a high impact with your direct reports. And it looks like we're at the end of the session for today. So just as a recap, we identified those key drivers of turnover. We identified the key drivers of loyalty and retention. And then we talked about a few retention tactics we could go and try even this week. So, with that, I would just like to thank everyone for joining us today. It's our hope that you found this content valuable. Do you wish that some more leaders in your organization could have heard this content today? We do offer leadership development programs, as well as staff education and development programs, and even performance management programs. So go ahead and call us and book a free consultation today. There's no obligation. We can talk about maybe some of the challenges you're having as a business owner or a leader in a business. We can help come up with some solutions and some high impact interventions we can start trying with your company right away. And just remember, staff and leader development equals business, health, and growth. So thanks again for joining. You can check us out at businessclaritybydesign.com or our sister company. We have amazing certified financial planners, and they are at financialclaritybydesign.com. So thanks again, everybody, and hope to hear from you soon. Take care.